Welcome to Week 6 of Prospect Football Weekly. I'm your host, Paul Evers. Prospect Football Weekly, of course, sponsored by Buffalo Wild Wings. I am joined once again by Coach Mike Sebestyen. Coach, thanks for joining us once again.
Paul, it's good to see you again.
So, last week you guys beat Buffalo Grove. What do you think is the best thing your team did in last week's game?
I think, as a team, I thought we did a very nice job of continuing to stay and play the game. We had to, at times, kind of rally ourselves. We shot ourselves in the foot a lot at points in that game, offensively especially, with penalties on the first series of the game, which, of course, then leads to us getting out of scoring range from the 5-yard line, having the field goal blocked. Obviously was an issue. And we made some mistakes there. I thought defensively, I was very excited about how we did a nice job of rallying to the ball. We bent, but we did not break, which I think was a big deal in this game. And, at the end of the day, I think that was the biggest thing, is our defense really did a very nice job in that game of keeping us in the game, keeping us controlled to what we're doing. And that was really helpful for us to be successful on Friday night. And, when we needed to make a couple plays in the fourth quarter, we did.
Then Andrew Shaffis had a huge game. But one of the things that I noticed watching the game is he just broke a ton of tackles. Why is it so hard to bring him down when he gets going?
You try to tackle a 6'3", 195-pound kid, it's not an easy experience. He's a very good athlete. He's a big kid. I mean, he is legitimately 6'3", 195 pounds. And he runs with power. And I think that's one of the things it's not easy to tackle a running back like that. And I know he plays quarterback, but when he gets the ball in his hands, he acts like his old position, which was playing running back. That's why he's always, as a junior, was dangerous as a safety as well. That's a lot of, power that comes and hits you, when he played safety. So it's not an easy experience. And he doesn't give you, the nice thing about what Andy does is he doesn't give you great angles to hit him. He runs low. He runs very tight in terms of his body. His knees drive real well. He's over the ball very well. So there's not a lot of surface area. So a lot of his glancing blows, it's bouncing off of him because his legs just drive so much. So he's a hard kid to tackle, and that's, I think, you get a big kid like that coming at you, you're going to think twice for a second. So that's, I think, a big deal.
And then again, just a lot of running the ball worked very well last Friday. How are you guys able to continually run the ball effectively in that game?
Well, I think one of the things that helped, to be very frank with you, is that we started the game by trying to throw the ball a little bit. We opened up the game, with the passing game. We had to scramble on the first one. The second one, he throws a nice hitch to Zach Gleason. We obviously throw the screen later in the game. So we tried to throw the ball a little bit and force people to have to pay attention to that, and that kind of, I think, backed them up a little bit and allowed the running game to kind of get on track as the game wore on. And again, we're a ball control offense where we're going to have to continue to pound away, and it might not necessarily early work in a game where we're not getting a ton of yardage, but as the game goes on, it's going to start to wear defense down. That really has to be the focus and the goal of our offense. And I think as the game wears on, we get stronger, and hopefully we're able to take advantage of other people in terms of what they're doing.
Then you guys did, in the defense, you guys did give up a decent amount of passing yards on short throws. Why was that the case, and will that continue going forward?
Well, I think, we held them to 40 yards rushing on 27 carries. So it's one of those situations where, we knew that they're more of a passing team, so we wanted to try to force them to have to take shorter completions, drive a field. They ended up being, the kid ended up being 20, and he's a sophomore, Connor Adams, but he was 27 to 34. That's a pretty good percentage day. But a lot of it early was underneath stuff. They hit a couple passes deep over the top late. So, that's something we've got to correct. But, the bigger thing at that point was we gave up yardage between the 20s, but once we hit about the 20, 25, we started to push back, and we forced them to have to drive a field. And when you talk to Jack later, I know this is something you probably talked to him about. We are able to force people to start and have to go 80 yards. It's going to be hard to do that against any defense. I don't care what team you are. To drive a field 80 yards consistently is very difficult. So to force people to have to do that is really the goal. And our defense, while they bent, they didn't allow them to put the ball in the end zone other than the one score late in the half. And I think that's something that we've got to continue. We've got to reduce maybe the yardage, But the only number that really, I think, at the end of the day matters for our defense is how many points are on the board. If that number's less than what we're putting up, you can gain 700 yards on us. As long as we win the football game, we'll deal with it.
All right, and then you said about Jack Pruban. Why did you let Jack Pruban attempt a 54-yard field goal?
Because he can hit it. I've seen Jack hit a longer one in practice. I have great faith in our protection team to protect, because that's not an easy field goal to protect for. We have a lot of faith in our holder, Nick Ergostolo, to get the ball down, and Jack has a lot of faith in him. And we have a lot of faith in Jack in and of itself. For us, we were sitting there going, very frankly, at that point, if Jack makes it, which we expect him to, the ball game's over. It's 24-7, and with a minute and something, change left to go, we finished the ball game. If it doesn't go in for some strange reason, which in my head the whole time I'm saying that's going in. I've seen Jack hit this. I have full faith in him. But if it doesn't, they're not getting the ball there. They're getting the ball at the 20-yard line. High school rules, the ball goes back to the 20 if it hits the end zone. And we knew he was making the end zone. Let's see him drive 80 yards at this point. And we didn't think that they could do that at that time of the game against our defense. But we had a lot of faith that Jack was going to hit that field goal. I've seen him do it enough times, and he hit it with plenty of distance. That thing could have been good from 60. So, when you know that you have a kid like Jack and a protection team like we have that can do their job, you let them do it.
All right. Thank you, Coach. We'll bring you back on to preview this week's game against Rolling Meadows.
Sounds good.
Coming up next will be kicker Jack Pruban. We are now joined by prospect football kicker Jack Pruban. Jack, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Let's just cut right to the chase. What was it kicking that 54-yard field goal last Friday?
Well, it's obviously a great moment to have, and it's just a great thing when you practice all off season, then you're given a chance to do something like that, and you capitalize on it. And obviously, helping the team out in any situation is fun, and doing it from a distance like that, it's always just a great experience.
No, and then obviously we know you can kick the ball far, but how hard is it to keep it accurately within the uprights?
Well, once you get to a certain point, accuracy becomes more of a mental game. Once you figure out how to kick, it's just a matter of can you do that in the moments that it matters. And accuracy is all about, in that moment, you trust your skills and you trust your ability to do something, and then you'll tend to kick it straight.
Obviously, you're a part of special teams, but do you feel that your game helps out the offense or the defense at all?
My kicking game?
Yep.
Yeah, that's the number one thing is whenever I'm doing kickoffs, or obviously field goals puts points on the board, but kickoffs, forcing a team to go down the field 80 yards due to a touchback, obviously is really helps the team, and that's what I take the most pride in. Kickoffs and being able to make a team go 80 yards on our defense every time. It's not an easy thing to do for them.
And then obviously a lot of people want to actually play on the field and stuff, but what made you decide to become a kicker?
Well, I joined football, and I had come from soccer, so I liked obviously kicking, and it was easy for me. It came easy to me, and from there I just kind of took it. I didn't really think about it that much. I just kept kicking and enjoying playing the sport. And then when I started taking it seriously, but I still try to enjoy playing on the field and both kicking.
All right, thank you, Jack. We will be right back with special guest Principal Michelle Dowling. Welcome back to Prospect Football Weekly. I am joined here by special guest Principal Michelle Dowling. Mrs. Dowling, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, obviously, Prospect Football Weekly, talk a little bit of football. What do Friday night football games mean to you?
I love Friday night football. It's an awesome night, and it's an opportunity for all of us to kind of burn off some steam after a rough week of school and all that studying, and it's just a great time for us to celebrate as a community and as a school.
What do you usually do while you're at the games?
You'll see me pacing up and down the field, running back and forth, jumping up and down when we score, hanging out with the kids, watching the U, talking to parents. It's a great time for the community to come together, and we just spend time celebrating.
How do you think the success of the football team so far this year has affected the atmosphere of the school?
It's always fun to win, Paul. However, It's more than just winning. It's just a great opportunity for us to get together, students, parents, faculty, the team, and to just celebrate who we are as a school and come together and to have some fun. And as I mentioned, to just, let loose after a full week of studying and working hard. And we all put so much time in here that it's just a great opportunity for us to get together.
Then you talked about our student section, the U, obviously a very well-known student section. What do you think of them?
Absolutely. I love the U. And the U is such a great opportunity for all kids to get involved in our school. It's an opportunity for them to be a part of something, to cheer, to feel like they belong, to develop that sense of community that I talked about. So the U plays a very big role in our school.
Now a little bit more day-to-day things. What do you think is most important about your job as principal?
Well, there's a lot of things that I do as principal, many of them that you may not see or notice, but my primary charge is to make sure that we're following Illinois State Board of Education rules and regulations, as well as District 214 policy and procedures. So that's a bigger picture. But then probably the day-to-day things that most of you may see or notice a little bit more is just to make sure that we can provide all the opportunities that we can for students here, whether it be through academic, social, emotional, clubs, activities, and then to support our staff so that they can provide those things for our students.
It's a little bit more of the day-to-day thing. So what would be like a normal day for yourself?
Great question, Paul. There is no such thing as a normal day as the principal of Prospect High School, but there is a lot of fun things that happen. Very typically, I'm out and about, talking with students, seeing how their day is going, working with staff, once again, just to provide opportunities for kids in any way possible.
Then Homecoming Week is coming up. Our new program this year to kick off Homecoming Week as Prospect gets back this Saturday. How do you feel about this new program?
It's an awesome program, and it's a great opportunity for our kids to get involved and for our kids to get out into the community and for the community to see Prospect as who we are. We oftentimes are here in our school and we're doing things, and many people don't get to see who we are, and we're a great student body, and it's going to be a wonderful opportunity for the businesses and the community and our parents to see us in full action. So it's a great new program. I'm looking forward to it. Lots of student involvement.
Thank you, Ms. Dowling. That has now been Miss Dowling. We will be right back with Coach Sebestyen. Look at this Friday night's game against Rolling Meadows.
Thank you.
Welcome back. We are joined once again with Coach Mike Sebestyen to preview this week's game against Rolling Meadows. Prospect Football Weekly is sponsored by Buffalo Wild Wings. So, Coach, how do you continue your success on the ground this week after being successful last week?
I think we got to stick to our basics in terms of what we're doing going forward. Again, we got to use some of our passing game to help within our structure. But one of the things that I think we've got to do a better job of this week is staying low off the ball with our offensive line, staying low in terms of when we do have the ball in our running backs' hands and not rising up so that they're exposing the ball to defenders. And we need to really control the clock in this football game. We're about to play, a 5-0 Rolling Meadows team that's a very good football team, and they understand what they're doing. They've played very well all year. So we've got to try to control the clock, keep their offense off the field by putting ours on there, and play to our strengths, which is our, running game, mixing in our passing game, and forcing people to have to drive long distances down the field on our defense.
Obviously, as you said, Rolling Meadows is 5-0 so far this season. How do you handle that with your team as you prepare this week?
By explaining to them it really doesn't matter about what their record is, because this week they're 0-0 the same way we are. Our record's 3-2, but really our record's 0-0. You're worried about the game that's in front of you. And explaining to them at this point that the number that really matters is we're both 1-0 in the MSL East. And we're trying to obviously accomplish one of their team goals, which is win the MSL East. This is the most immediate threat to that goal, just the same we're the most immediate threat to, I'm sure, what Rolling Meadows' goal is, which is to win the MSL East. They've done it, a couple times here in the last few years. So for us at this point, it's trying to focus on doing our job, getting ourselves better at this point, focusing on doing our job in all three phases of the game. And if we do that, we give ourselves an opportunity to obviously play well in this football game. We're going to have to be pretty perfect in terms of what we're doing, though, against this football team. They're a very good football team.
And then Meadows overall plays a similar offense. They're very run heavy, but they mix in the pass. How are you guys going to handle this defensively?
Well, they're very similar in terms of the fact that they are a more run-oriented football team that sets up their pass. They throw a little bit more than we do, but they do it in a very different way. They're much more in a situation where they are thrown out of a spread offense scenario. They do run their veer. set up out of their twin sets and their spread sets and motion back into it. But they're much more spread out, whereas obviously we're in two back sets all the time. We're under center, whereas they're in the gun. So it's a little different style to it, but we both obviously have a lot of the same motives and same goals. So I think for us at this point, it's again a situation where we got to try to keep control of the clock, keep the ball away from them. They're going to try to do some of the same stuff. They understand what we're trying to do, and they understood. A year ago we controlled. We had the ball for almost 30 minutes. They want to keep it away from us, and so we can't dictate tempo. So it's going to be a battle of wills. I think both defenses are going to have to play very solid, and I think this is the type of game that's very similar to some of your old school type football games where your offense and defensive lines are going to control what happens here. The skill kids are all nice and wonderful, but your offense and defensive lines are going to have to win you the football game. I think both teams are preaching that going forward.
And then you talked about this earlier. You guys did give up a decent amount of yards last week, but you guys bent but did not break. How do you guys continue to do that?
Well, again, by playing the next play. If you give up a decent sized gain, don't worry about that. Go play the next play. And I think the kids did a very good job last week of doing that for us. I think what you find out really quickly is, as we've kind of grown here as a defense in the last 5 weeks, we've started to learn how to deal with that, how not to let one big play become, 2 big plays, 3 big plays, and next thing you know, they're in the end zone. How to forget the play that just happened and move on to the next one and realize that until they are in the zone, that they still haven't scored, we're in okay shape. We just got to continue to play defense. So I think that's really become the focus as we go forward here and continue to do that. Rolling Meadows has got a solid offense. The quarterback's a very good athlete. The running back is a very good kid. They have some skilled kids on the wing that are very, very talented. They have a young kid who has played for them for 3 years, who's played more defense, but he's going to show up on offense because he played offense against us last year. He's a very talented running back. Number 6. So you understand that they're going to get some plays home because they're a talented football team and they're a good, well-coached football team. You try to limit those as much as possible, but when they happen, you play. You get them on the ground. You say, okay, let's go play the next play, and hopefully, that's a way to kind of keep as many opportunities as possible for us to keep them out of the end zone.
And then, other than what you spoke to so far, what do you think will be the key to a victory Friday night?
Well, I think the thing I spoke to is really the biggest thing. We got to control the ball on the lines. They've got to control the ball on the line. So, it's going to be one of those situations where whoever's offense and defensive lines do the best job, I think, is going to be successful here on Friday night. I think the turnover game is going to be a big deal. When we have had success this year, we've won the turnover battle. When we have not had success, we've turned the ball over and not forced turnovers. We've played 3 games this year that we've won where we've forced 2+ turnovers. The 2 games we've lost, we've forced none. So I think the turnover battle is a big deal. I think field position is going to be a big deal. How do your special teams, and this is where a kid like Jack Pruban, who you've gotten to meet obviously at this point, comes into play. I think Andy Schaff is playing punter, and our punt protection comes into play. Our return game is going to be a big deal. We've got to do a better job in terms of our return game, both our kickoff return and our punt return, creating field position. Field position is going to be a big factor in this football game. If you're creating shorter fields for your offense and longer fields for your defense, that's going to be vital for us to be successful. So I think those are the factors that are going to be necessary for us to win this week. And it's going to be the same thing they're trying to do. I think the biggest thing is playing disciplined football for 48 minutes. If the best team is going to be the one that plays itself in its best disciplined way for 48 minutes. And that's really happening now. It's happening Monday through Thursday, not on Friday night. We've explained to our kids, look, you're winning this football game or losing this football game with what we do Monday through Thursday. And they're doing the same thing with their kids. Coach Mishler's a great coach over there. He's done a hell of a job getting this program, rolling the way it is. Meadows has had a lot of success in the last 5 years in our conference. So they're going to be well prepared. They're going to be a good football team. It's going to be a great game to come watch on Friday night. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy themselves, hopefully, if they come out and watch. And it's a chance for both teams to give themselves an inside path at the MSL East. With some, obviously some other teams still challenging for it, but at least now you put yourself 2-0, and after Friday night, there's only going to be 2 teams at the max that are 2-0 in the MSL East. Because you have 2 1-0 teams playing each other this week. You'd like to be that team that's in that position instead of chasing, and now your fate's being determined by someone else.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Good luck on Friday night.
Thank you very much.
I believe we have some more exciting news for our fan base.
We do. We've been able to, obviously, at this point, solidify our live taping. So, this week, obviously, is our homecoming week. Saturday is a great day for the school as a whole. I know Coach Mirandola and Ms. Dowling both talked about Prospect Gives Back, our, community initiative where we'll be having kids go out throughout the community. We have over, it sounds like 300 kids through a variety of different programs that will be involved in giving back to the Mount Prospect community and the Arlington Heights community here on Saturday. So that's going to be awesome. A lot of kids in the community involving themselves and working to do things for the larger community as a whole. We obviously play homecoming on Friday night, next Friday, October 7th against Hersey. But on October 4th, which is a Tuesday night, we are going to be doing a live taping of Prospect Football Weekly. You get to come out, and we're going to be hosting that at Buffalo Wild Wings, so we encourage people to come out about 7:30, get yourself some wings and some food. We will start taping the show officially at 8 o'clock. Myself will be there, obviously, reviewing the Rolling Meadows game, previewing the Hersey game. We'll have a player guest, like we always do every week. We don't know that until after the game. And we'll have an alumni guest. Miles Osei is going to be coming back and talking to Paul. Paul's going to do an interview with him and just kind of talking about, Prospect High School, homecoming, kind of what he's up to currently at this point. And we'll also have an opportunity for crowd participation. We're going to have crowd questions that you get to, ask of myself, of Miles, hopefully, as we go forward here. So it's going to be a really cool evening. We would invite everyone out. I think it's going to be a great community night over at Buffalo Wild Wings here in Mount Prospect. The title sponsor of the program has been gracious enough to make room to help us out and host the live evening. So you want to get there probably about 7:30 so you can get yourself some food ordered. We're going to start the taping at 8 o'clock here on Tuesday night, October 4th. You get a chance to, the adoring public for Paul gets a chance to meet Paul live and in person. He will be signing autographs after the show, so please feel free to come out. We look forward to having you guys out there and getting a chance to meet the public and getting you a chance to obviously get involved with Prospect Football Weekly. So it's going to be a fun experience, Paul. I think we're all looking forward to it. It should be fun.
Definitely will. Definitely a difference from the quiet studio.
Yes, it will be a little bit different. The studio's a little bit more quiet. We get a little bit more crowd ambience. It's going to be, I think, enjoyable.
I think it will be a very interesting show.
Yes, very good.
Good luck, Coach, on Friday night.
Thank you very much.
I will see you next week.
Yes.
Hopefully see all of you next week at Buffalo Wild Wings. This has been Week 6 of Prospect Football Weekly, sponsored by Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm your host, Paul Evers, and we will see you next Tuesday night.